Okay, so this video is going to serve as a sort of rough draft for what I'm currently looking at as far as a speedrun setup, to try to explain some of the things I'm looking at doing, why I'm doing them, and maybe we can get some discussion around how to change them up or do them better. And so I'm going to start with what's here on the screen that you can probably see right here, kind of in this area. So that is a list of the locations that we're going to use along the route to get to Safe Haven. Now that's not all the locations. The trick is that's actually the list of locations that have the auto shop. The auto shop's the only place on the map where you can repair your car for money. You can repair for scrap. There's a mini game where you can use 2, 4, or 8 scrap to try to repair your car, playing a time-based mini game. But at these locations, you can actually do so just for money, and so it ends up being the easiest and fastest way. Obviously, it is the preferred way to repair your car when you can. We don't use Indy, and I'll probably explain that a little bit later. We do use Chicago, and then we'll use the others kind of as needed. We'll probably once you get to Albuquerque or Salt Lake City, it's possible you won't have the money to be able to do it. Excuse me. But the stops in between are not listed. So if it is a combat stop and not an auto shop stop, it will not be listed in this list. To the right of each location is actually the current world record split time. So it just serves as a reference for me to be able to know if I'm sort of ahead of or behind. I'm currently in the early parts, like up to probably Wichita. I'm usually ahead, but tend to fall behind by Wichita, where you start getting into the parts of the game where the RNG is really starting to take over. If you're getting on the road events, especially the boss fights with the raiders or the deer, it's going to really start to slow you down. So that's where you start to see a lot of the time tack on. So we're going to go ahead and hop into a game. Start a new game here. Campaign. Easy mode, of course. Pick my favorite avatar so far. Skip the intro. Get logged in here. Add a party. So here's the sort of first part where we're going to deviate from what you may be doing already. I'm going to choose the UFO. I've got a separate video on this on how to unlock the UFO, so look for that on this channel or in the Discord. If you're in the Board Boosters Discord, you can find it there, and it'll tell you how to unlock the UFO. But the reason we're using it is because it's fast, it's durable, reliable, doesn't break down as much as the station wagon does. So you will have to put in probably about 2 hours of work to unlock the UFO. But once you do, I mean, it's worth it, and it's really the only way you're going to look at possibly advancing the world record is to use the UFO. It just isn't going to be possible any other way. This is currently what I'm using as a setup. This may change. Probably the meta on this will be either different for you or just because it's some time has passed. I've experimented a little bit with going less fuel here to 24 instead of 32. It is a big jump. 8 fuel difference is quite a bit, especially when there's opportunities in the game to lose 2, 3, 4, 5 cans of fuel in some of the mini events. On the road events, it can be brutal sometimes, especially when you're fording the hordes. It can be there's an opportunity to lose quite a bit of supplies there. So having as much fuel as we can really helps, because you don't want to have to be doing the trade event to try to wait for fuel to show up available to try to trade for it. Medkit 5, I've tried to get it, try to use it on the 10 setting instead of the 5. It's almost as if we need infinite medkits, man. Medkits are so important, obviously, because it's your main character's health that you're healing. It's so fast, it's so powerful. It'd be nice to have more, but because there is a mechanic in the game that we can use, we'll talk about a glitch where once you kill your 4 party members, when you rest, you actually heal. Usually that's not the case. Money is the filler here. So basically, you're going to pick all the rest of your supplies, and then you're going to fill up money the last, right? I just happen to know how much money this setup uses, but usually we're going to choose everything else first, and then we'll just fill out with money. Battery 2, tire 2, muffler 2, these are sort of self-explanatory. We're hoping that RNG is kind to us and will allow 2 to be enough. It's very possible it's not going to be. So far, most runs are going to probably chew through more than 2, but it's possible not to use them. Ammo, honestly, if I could choose less than 200 ammo, I would. You can't really do a 0 ammo run because there are enemies in the combat and the scavenge scenes where if you don't have any ammo and you can't shoot them, they're faster than you. You cannot outrun them. The fast zombies, you can look at them and pause them to keep them from moving while you're looking at them, but eventually they're going to catch up with you. So you really want to have some ammo, probably about 50-ish, because again, do remember, there's going to be a lot of events that can take your ammo. So I can't tell you how many runs so far have died just simply to having no ammo. It's actually kind of crazy. Now, there's probably the most fungible one is going to be this one, because I could definitely see it making sense to go 0 ammo and pick up some ammo the first time you have a chance, because the first part of the run doesn't use scavenge or really is probably not going to need ammo. So there's probably a good opportunity here to fudge this one and maybe go 0 and pick it up early in the run. The world record does not use any food. Currently, the number 1 and number 2 spots basically scavenge twice before they leave. Right when they're killing their 4 party members, they'll scavenge for some food and probably for some scrap. I like this because it basically gives me a huge head start in the early. Like I said, I can pretty much get to Wichita sometimes a minute under the world record speed. So I feel like this might be an advantage. We'll have to keep playing with it and see. But that's the setup I'm using right now, and that's kind of my thoughts behind using them. Something that the world record first and second place are doing right now is they're going through Pittsburgh to the mall and then to whatever comes after that, Indianapolis. But I have read and found that actually going through the Gorge Bridge is both fewer miles and it's one less stop. I think the stop is probably more important, but mileage obviously adds up as well. But that's one less screen where you have to wait for the load, wait for the unload to come back to the road, and then move on. And when you play the game for a while, you'll start to learn how obnoxious that little pause is when you load and unload. You're waiting for things to happen, watching time bleed off, and it's just basically the game being slow. And so anytime you can lose a stop and some miles with it, that's probably a better thing. So this is another reason why I can get so much further ahead in the early game, hoping to get good RNG. In the second half, from basically Wichita on, that's where you really want to start seeing, the better RNG, hopefully. So I'm going to choose Gorge Bridge, go ahead and embark, and then I'm going to start the UFO moving, but as soon as I do, I'm going to come down here and hit stop, because I don't want to hit stop first because I want to get the whole scene moving first, and then I'll hit stop because there is a short, brief period of time here where I can hit this input without it affecting the time, basically. So watch. See how there's this little lag while you're coming to the next interval? So it's best to basically click there, start the UFO moving, then hit stop. So once we come to our first stop, this is where we're going to go ahead and off our party members. So we're going to send them to their dirt naps. Okay, so as soon as I have emptied the party, next thing I do is go to car, hit set pace, change it to turbo. As you can see here, we're choosing from 3 different speeds. It does cause the car to, I think you're pushing the car more, so I think you're probably burning through the car's durability faster. but this is pretty much required. The whole reason we go to the UFO in the first place is because it moves faster, and obviously turbo is going to be moving fast as well. So after that, I'm going to go to supply. I'm going to go to rationing. I've kind of thought about this, and is it needed to go to large? Yes, no. Obviously, if you're eating less, the food supplies you do have will last longer. But as far as I can tell, large is the only ration you can eat where you don't lose health between every turn, every hour. It seems like on small and medium, you actually do lose a small portion of your health. And because health packs are limited, time is limited. If this were a casual run, you could change it to small and heal up on the resting screen. But we don't have time to lose here, so we're going to use large. Hit done. Okay. So you do start out here. We haven't done anything at all, and yet we've got 10 scrap. So I'm hoping that by the time I get to the farm, I still have 10 scrap, that a random event hasn't caused us to lose that. So like I said, whereas in this first screen, usually the world record number 1, number 2 guys are going straight to scavenge, I'm actually going straight back to the road here, and I'm going to start moving along the road. As we go, we're just going to basically spam click through anything that comes up. We don't want to try to read this to try to interpret what's going on. We just want to click through them as quickly as possible. So every time they come up, we're just going to click them to continue and get the UFO moving again. We do have a little bit of our starting food, and you can see here we even got an event. Like I said, easy difficulty really feeds you a lot. The trades are very easy to get. The events are very easy. It just seems like it's really it's geared toward having a very casual experience. Okay, so we're coming up on the Gorge Bridge. This is our first stop. Again, we're just spamming here, so I'm clicking as fast as I can. When this comes up, I'm going to click through it. And here at the Gorge Bridge, we don't have anything to do. I'm just going to hit leave and move on. Most of the screens, you actually won't have to do anything up here. I think there's actually only 2 times on the map you actually need to click something. That would be when you're in Chicago going to Omaha. No, it's the church. Going from Chicago to the church, you'll need to make a choice there. That's not the default location. Excuse me. And then when you're coming out of, I believe it's Albuquerque, you choose between somewhere in the bomb shelter, and you want to go to the bomb shelter. That's another location where you have to make a choice. I believe all the other map locations, they're already set to their default. So as soon as you see the screen come up, you can immediately go to embark. Now, you did notice that we went through a radiation area here. It's so quick, it really doesn't affect us at all. The radiation takes some time to build up, and so that mechanic hasn't had an opportunity to really affect us yet. We didn't get radiation sickness, and so it's really inconsequential, as far as I can tell, to go through the Gorge Bridge. Now, we will go through an event here. Let's see. So we do get a horde event here. Now I started to think, okay, maybe that's why the guys are going the other direction. They're not coming through the Gorge Bridge. But then I realized the Gorge Bridge also has a horde event as well. I'm pretty sure this is scripted. It happens every run. And so it's not really adding any time because it happens on the other one as well. So we're still 1 location less. We're still miles less. And we're getting the event that's built in. So it should be the same amount. I started to, wonder about, okay, better to sneak, better to break out the guns. Here's the thing. Break out the guns only works if you have party members. Your party members get to the windows of the car and shoot out and fire at the zombies. If you don't have any party members, it doesn't do anything. So break out the guns and attempt to sneak through. Basically the same thing for us. Sometimes this works to your advantage because as you're spamming through here, you accidentally hit the wrong one of these. So it doesn't matter if you hit either one of these 2 in this case because they're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do sneak through. Now, there is an opportunity to die here. I've actually died, just straight out. I don't know if that's a dice roll or what causes that. But if you are unlucky and you get in the horde, you get captured, you don't die necessarily. You will take some damage. If you are low on health, it would be possible. Actually, no. I'm sorry. I misspoke there. You don't take any physical damage. You lose supplies. So when you get caught up in the horde, I think you lose supplies. I'm not certain if you take any damage or not, but I do know you lose supplies. So that's an opportunity where you may lose some fuel, you may lose some scrap, you may lose mufflers, tires, batteries. I've lost one of each a couple times. It really hurts when you do that, but there's not really much you can do. The only other option you have is to choose the wait, and this is speedrun. We're not going to wait, so we just need to take our chances and let the dice do the deciding for us. So we're going to move on. Again, we're just, as soon as these windows are coming up, we're spamming them, just clicking the mouse right around this area here, just over and over as these events are coming through, so that we are advancing through them as quickly as possible. I want to be watching the UFO health and our health. When we need to use a health pack, we need to be watching that, especially the UFO breaking down. That's not as big a deal. You losing all your health ends the run, so you want to make sure you stay up. All of the different health losing events that pop up here on the road, I think break a rib and sit down wrong are two of the most potent. Break a rib has ruined a couple runs. Breaking a leg ruined a run. But I have done the sit down wrong and lost as well. I think if you're irradiated with radiation sickness, which is an icon you'll see hop up here, I think when you're in that state, you're actually more prone to damage. And I lost probably a third of the bar of health on one of those events, and it took me out unexpectedly. So you don't want to let this float too low. I like to see it around half, which I like to use these guys here just as a quick glance, and use the GONE as a reference for how much health I have. If I'm getting down into like G area or below, that's when I'm going to start worrying about either taking a med kit, if I have them, or if it's later in the game, I may have to resort to resting to get that health back up. Okay, so we're going to enter into Indianapolis here. Now, like I said, this is the first opportunity where we have the auto shop. However, we're not going to use it. And again, I'll explain that here in a little bit when we get to the farm, why we're not going to use it, but we're not going to repair here. Do not repair your car using the auto shop or using scrap until we talk about it at the farm. So we're going to go ahead and leave again here. We're going to treat this just like the Gorge Bridge. Immediately get here and leave. If you are worried, like if you think an event happened and you weren't sure what happened, you didn't catch it, you can hop here and see what your supplies are at. Take a quick look. It's not going to kill your time, to just hit supply real quick, take a glance, and then hit leave. So that is, available to you if you need to. But if you don't need it, just hit leave, hit yes, and then move on. So again, we're going to hit embark here as quickly as we can and start the next portion of our trip. You saw there, I think we lost a muffler. Okay, so now we're at the farmland. So this is a sort of where the run, in my opinion, kind of starts, so to speak. This is where we really have to start paying attention. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the farmland. There's nothing to do here. This is not an auto shop. However, it is scripted here that when we leave farmland, we will get the biker scene. Happens every run. So why did I not want to repair the car coming into farmland? Here's why. I actually don't want to succeed or survive the biker event. I actually want to die. It's faster to die and repair than it is to successfully survive the attack, because it can last so long, or it does. I actually think they're all the same length. I don't know if there's any variance there, but regardless, it takes too long to survive it. We just want to die. Well, how do we die? Have less health going into it, and that will allow us to die faster. So if you watch here, when we leave, we will get the biker event. We're going to hit embark. We're headed to Chicago, and now we're going to go to the biker event. So in the biker event, basically what I'm going to do is position my UFO so that it is in the least likely area to knock any of the guys off their bikes. Why is that? Well, as they start to stack up, they're going to start doing more damage to me. The more of them that are there when they shoot at me, they're going to do more damage faster. So I want them to stack up beside me. I don't want to knock them over on accident. And so then they're going to start knocking my health down and take me out faster so I can get back on the road. So I'm going to go ahead and show you here. As they approach, I'm going to move out of the way, let them come up. And they're going to start stacking up here. So I'm going to let them just come up. They'll come up randomly in positions. And they did. They took me out. Now you do lose some supplies here. You know, you could lose some scrap here. I've lost quite a bit of scrap here sometimes. This may be a run ender for you. Who knows? But it's basically, in my opinion, probably required to do this. This is the fastest way to move through this. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now, we're going to be broken down here. So if we don't do anything at all, the game's just going to sit here and wait for us. So we're going to go ahead and hit stop to go to the screen. Go to car, hit repair, and you're going to see, because of the event, we lost 1 scrap. I've lost several here before, so you may not have 9 scrap or 10 scrap. When you get here, you may have less. But what we're going to do is use the mini game. With the mini game, you can use 2, 4, or 8 scrap. 8 is the least efficient, 2 is the most efficient, but 8 is the most forgiving. If you're not good at the mini game, then you want to try to err towards using the ones that are a little bit more forgiving. What I have found and what the world record runners use is 4. You can actually get to Chicago on 1 hit of 4 if you're very good at it. If you're not good at it, you probably need to use 2 hits of 4 here, so we're going to use 8 scrap total. You may not have 8 scrap total. You may only have 6 or 7. So if you need to, use 4 and 2 to try to get you by. And again, that may be a run ender for you. You may have to reset if you don't either have enough scrap here or if you aren't good enough at the mini game to get enough durability to make it to Chicago. When we get to Chicago, we'll repair fully. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 hits here. We'll do 4. I like to try to line up the guys right here. And that's what I'm using as a visual aid, is actually trying to get the circle to almost converge on the empty circle. And that's when I'm trying to click. You can use the left mouse button or you can use the space bar to trigger this. You need to practice this. You're only going to get better with practice. And I'm sort of here talking with you, so I didn't even do a very good job there. We got a D. We repaired for 7. That is likely not going to be enough. If you do several of these that are either good or perfect, you actually get bonus. So you'll get the amount you would have gotten, and you'll see a plus number, and you'll get some extra. So you can get like 9 plus 2 or 9 plus 3 or something like that. You can get quite a bit of repair off these if you get really good at it. So there's an advantage here to practicing and doing this well. You'll actually do better in the speed run. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back, wait for this screen to pass, and then we're going to do it again. We're going to do the 4 again because we do have enough to do it. So we'll hit 4. If you don't have enough, go ahead and use 2 and see if you can get enough. So we're going to try it again. Much better that time. So I got a B. So we got 12 plus 3 on this one. So 15 durability repair. If I had done that the first time, that probably would have been enough to get me to Chicago. If I'd gotten 15, I would have rolled with that, not done a second set of 4. That's going to save me some time, get me to Chicago faster. But one way or another, I don't even have enough scrap to continue here. So you'll see only have 1 left. So I couldn't even go more if I wanted to. So let's see if that gets us to Chicago. So we're going to go ahead and hit done, hit leave, and get on our way to Chicago. Chicago's only 180 miles. It's a very short traverse. So this is actually kind of a advantageous part of the run where we can try to get here to the auto shop. You can see our UFO's getting real low, but we did make it. Sometimes I actually do break down there, but even though I've broken down, I have arrived at Chicago when I break down, and so you're still good to get into this screen, come through here. And this is the first time where we will use the auto shop. So from here, we're going to go to repairs. We have plenty of money from our starting condition, and repairs are only $24. This will change. Sometimes you'll see this a little bit lower. Sometimes you'll see a little bit higher. And as you get further along the run, you'll see this go up quite a bit. I've seen this be $50, $60, $70, $80 a repair rather than $24. So you really, later on in the run, it gets a lot harder to use this function. So I'm going to hit repair. Now, sometimes this is not advantageous for us, and we get a little sliver left over. Watch out for that. Don't get too fast here when you're spamming on the repair, where you're only going to get a partial repair for the full amount of money. This case, I'll probably go ahead and hit repair and fill out that last bar because I want to try to get through to. So you look here on the left of my cursor. We're going to go from Chicago. We're going to have 2 chances to repair in the radiation zone. That's going to be at Omaha and Wichita. I will probably do a small bump a lot of times on Omaha and try to get a full repair in Wichita, heading out of the radiation towards Albuquerque. Albuquerque's the kind of the pinch point. It's probably the last place you're going to be able to repair. If you have enough money going into Salt Lake City to repair again, you're probably doing pretty well. You've gotten some really lucky RNG. So in this case, I would probably go ahead and bump this through. But in other cases, if it were only a sliver, I just leave it and move on and try to catch that little bump in another location in Omaha or Wichita. So we'll hit repair one more time and hit done. Okay. There is a possibility here that if you've had some bad RNG, look at your supplies and see, like right now we've already burned through 2 mufflers here. There may be, because things get more expensive later on, it may be advantageous to, while you're here and you do have some money, go back to the auto shop and try to see if you can buy a muffler. But I've found that a lot of times if you're missing one thing, that'll be the one thing they don't sell. If you're missing 2 things, sometimes one or both of those things won't be available. So right now we can't even buy a muffler if we wanted to. The only way to get a muffler would be through an event on the road, or through a trade session, going to supply and doing a trade session here. So if we do trade, we can try to look for a trade just like you can in the old Oregon Trail, to try to give them something that what we have to trade for a muffler. And on easy, you will find that it will often roll you a muffler. Sometimes you'll come to the screen and the muffler will already be there with an offer for you. It's pretty easy to get it on easy mode, especially early in the game. You're going to get a lot of offers fast. So it's viable to do in a run, I guess is what I'm saying. Is don't think that just because you had to go to the trade screen that the run is over. You can still easily get sub 20 with a trade screen. So we're going to go ahead and move on here. Well, like I said, leaving Chicago, this is the first time we really need to pay attention to the map and where we're going. So as you're leaving Chicago, make sure you're not spamming too fast so that you can come over here and select the church rather than, what was that, the remote shack. We're going to choose the church, and we are re-entering the radiation area. So for the next pretty large portion of the trip, when we go from the church all the way to past Wichita, past the, I think it's called the gas station, the old gas station, until we get to the strip club, we'll be in radiation. So we got to pay attention to that, watch our levels, make sure our health doesn't get too bad. I'm probably going to go ahead and leave it here. This video is long enough. From here on out, you just basically follow the route, play conservatively, hope your dice rolls are good, and just basically do your best with what you're given. The runs that I've had, I got like a 19:03, 19 minutes 3 seconds today, and that was it was not the luckiest run. It definitely wasn't, it didn't feel like the fastest run. I do feel like I'm starting to understand what a fast run is and how to use it. But you just have to really think on your feet here. Once you get out into Albuquerque and Salt Lake City, you're having to make some choices. You need to run through the game several times to start to feel out when is it good to do one thing or the other, what can you do, what are your best options. You're not usually choosing between one or two things. It's usually just do the thing and are you getting the RNG for it. Like I said, the 2 on the road boss fights, so the deer stampede, the mutant deer stampede, and the raiders that looks like a Mad Max scene, those are the 2 that are going to really slow you down. Even if you have to go scavenge once or twice, you can go run through the scavenge scene, see if you can get what you need. Sometimes you get lucky. And I do, again, notice earlier in the run, scavenge works better, which is why I think the world record guys do scavenge very early. Like they scavenge immediately because you're going to get the best results there. You're most likely to get good scrap, get good money, get what you need. So do expect that for salvaging to be a little bit harder later on once you get to the other side of the map. But don't be afraid to do it, to go ahead and finish out the runs, to go ahead and try to see if you can get a sub 20 first and kind of set the goal for yourself and work your way down. It will behoove you in the end to do that because it's the end game. It's that West Coast side that really, I think, where the runs are going to be made. This first part, we can get to Chicago all day long. We can get to Wichita probably all day long and not have too bad a run going. It's post-Wichita that managing your car repair can be a real pain. Sometimes it's your character health, but usually it's your car. So you're going to have to get good at managing that, taking that into account, watching it, and those are the 2 variables you really got to watch out for. The rest of it, It's dice rolls. You can't do much if the game doesn't give you any mufflers, right? And so sometimes you just kind of have to soak it up, move on to the next one, hit escape and start over. But hopefully this will get you started. And if you have any questions, let me know. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.